Well, hello friends, welcome and welcome back. I have come back today, as promised, to create some little journal cards for our journals. This is the one that we worked on together yesterday, where we glued the papers on the pockets, and then we decorated 2 pages. We'll call them the twin pages together. And I haven't done much else with it, but I did put the cover together just in the way that I showed you in my other video, okay? Now, as I explained, I'm doing one journal that's basically for couples, and the other one is basically based around children. So I have gone ahead and I have decorated 2 journal cards, which one will go with the couples journal and one will go in the children's journal. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Okay, there we go. So yeah, I have a photo prepared for this one, but we're going to do a little work on that photo, and this will be for the couples. And I have a photo prepared for this one, and we're going to do a little work on that photo too, and this will be for the children's journal. And then I have one that we're going to assemble together. I've created a cluster for it, just as I explained in yesterday's video, where I've been creating clusters and then adding the main focal point, which is either a Tim Holtz paper doll or a Tim Holtz photo to it after the fact. So we will do this in a bit. First, I'm going to show you the photos that I've selected. I've picked this little boy to be for the children's journal. And I've picked this young lady to also be for the children's journal. And I have picked this young man and his lady friend to be for the couples journal. But now what I thought I would do is, as I explained, I have been distressing the pictures a little bit more. I'm trying to find a place to put my light. That'll work. I'm just going to take these out of here for now. To distress the photos just a little bit more and make them look a little bit older, kind of like this one. And as I explained, I had gone over it with a coat of the Distress Collage Medium. And then when it was dry, I kind of scratched it up with my sanding tool. And I went back and I added a little bit of Distress Crayon in Vintage Photo to it to try to make it look a little bit older. And although you can't feel it if you want to try it on your own, it gives you almost like a sandy kind of a rough feeling to it. So that's what I thought we would do with these. So now I have this picture of this young lady who apparently is named Margaret. And she must be about 20 in this picture. At least that's what I'm trying to figure out, that's what that says. So what I thought we would do is, this is a plain old sanding disc. I don't even know if it's a Tim Holtz. I may have just picked it up off of Amazon or somewhere, maybe even in Michael's. And I'm using one of my regular dauber handles. So I am just going to go in and scratch up the photo a little bit. I don't really want to scratch too much on her face, so I'm trying to stay away from her face. And I'm just going to go in and I'm going to sand it up, okay, and make it a little bit rougher so that I can add some of the Distress Crayon to it and add a little bit of color, okay? So you can see that I've distressed it all the way down to the white. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in on the edges and I'm just going to distress those as well. I'm just catching up the edge of the photo like so. Okay. Some of you may already know how to do this. And those of you that do probably have signed on and clicked into another video by now. But some people don't know how to do this. And I am not by any means an expert at it. So yeah, I do my best and I just do what I can, and that's all we can do, okay? So I've pretty much gone around and distressed the edges of the photo, and what I'm going to do now is just take my Vintage Photo Distress Crayon. I'm saying distress an awful lot. First, I think I am going to knock off some of this dust into my trash can, like so. Maybe we'll grab a fresh piece of cardstock to work on. And this is one that I've used, but there's no dust on it, so we can just turn that over. And we'll just grab our crayon. And let me grab a little baby wipe as well, because in the event that our crayon gets a little bit too thick or mucky, we can simply wet our fingers a little bit, and it'll make it easier to move the crayon around on the photo. So let me just, I'm going to go in and I'm going to add just a smidge of the distress photo, the Vintage Photo, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rub it in with my finger, like so. And this also helps that if you are using Paperdolls, if you just want to go over them, I learned this trick from Lindy at Pink Whisper Designs, because in fact, I probably never even thought about it. The distress crayons will also dull the shine. So you can see how much less shine there is on the photo right now. And then what I'll do is I want to add a little bit over here as well. And I just want to add enough to give it some color. I don't want to cover up the little stars that are in the background. And so I will go in and I will just keep working that. And then I'm going to clean my finger off a little with that paper towel. And it's a little damp. And so we can kind of, you see how the crayon's moving a little bit better with my fingertip being wet. And so there we go. We'll just do that. And maybe we'll add a little bit here where her blouse is. And we can wipe that down too. And again, I'm going to wet my finger a little. Try to bring some of that out of there so you can still read what's underneath. And we'll just go around the edge like so. And we can add a little on the edge of the frame up there and just bring that over, and we'll kind of rub that out. But all the while, I want to avoid her face. So you can see how it has just changed the photo just that little bit. I'll compare it to another one that's, although they're all black and white, you can see how it's just kind of added a little bit more of the vintage feel to it just by distressing it and adding that crayon. So then what I'll do, I'm just going to put my cover on my crayon. I'm going to go in and I'm going to do the same thing on here. And I am just going to come in from the edge and maybe rough up his shirt a little bit. Again, I don't want to go anywhere near their faces. And you can see how I'm just coming in off the edge to rough up the very edge of the photo. And I'm just coming in up the edge because I don't want to get too close to his face. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to do the same thing on the corner here. And I'm going to come in, and we don't have anybody's face in this place. And so I'm just going to go and I'm going to rough that up. Maybe I should bring you down just a little bit. Maybe you'll be able to see a little bit better. Okay. And then I'm just going to come in again off the edge, trying not to get near their faces. And you can see, I'll pick it up, you can see how the white is coming through on the edge of that photo, like so. And you might be able to see the difference there. Okay. Oh, I should have done it on the dirty piece of paper. Why didn't you guys yell at me? All right, here, let's just tap that off in the garbage and we'll turn it over. Didn't even think. Okay, and then I'm just going to take a little and I'm going to come in again on this corner here, right here, because I want to add some of the vintage photo to make it a little bit more grungy. So I've taken out some more of the photo down to the white. Okay, and again, I made dirty on the paper, so I'm just going to wipe it quick with my baby wipe, and it should dry off. Okay, All right, let's grab our crayon. And we'll just come in here on the top. And we're just going to rub. When your crayons are fresh and new, they are a little bit easier to work with. I have a couple of colors in my collection here that are a little bit older. And so they are a little bit, they don't move as easily when you put them onto the photo. And by that I mean they don't smear as well. So if you buy distressed crayons, use them. Don't save them for another day. Use them up. I do know that a couple of my vintage photo and also my scorched timber distressed crayon is a little bit newer. And so it's still kind of, I guess the only way to put it is waxy or pasty. And so the color will move a little bit better on the photo. I'm just going to do a little bit here and get her shirt colored up a little. And again, I'm staying away from their faces, but you can see there how it's just kind of A number one. There I go with A number one again. Taken away a good portion of the shine, and it's also added some nice color. It's brought out the colors that are already there. And then we have this little boy here, and I am going to do a very light coat across the entire thing. Oh, see? You guys didn't yell. All right, let me grab my dirty paper. Hang on. Where did it go? Okay, here's the dirty paper. All right. Just going to bring a light, brush across the photo itself, okay? You can see that it's just dulled it a little and also made a few scratches in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in again, like I've done in all the other ones, off the edge and try and rough up the outer area because I don't want to go too close to his face. All right, and I'm just going to go back and forth and do the same thing all the way around the photo. I would speed this up for those of you who don't care to watch all of the roughing up going on, but quite frankly, I don't know how to do that. So there we go. All right, so we've roughed up all around the edges of the photo, and we've gone in the dark spots and kind of roughed it up so that we can go back in and add some of our vintage photo, okay? And you may be sitting there going, well, why are you taking off color just to add color? Because it adds that like distress feel to it. I don't know how to express it any other way than that. It dulls it down and it just gives it a little something something. So I'm going to put in a smudge there and I'm going to go in with my finger. And like I said, you can't, it's not feel-o-vision, I guess is a good way to put it. The texture of the photo changes when you do this too. And if you do it for yourself, you'll notice what I mean. It kind of makes it feel like an old photo that you found maybe in the attic or in the basement or hidden in a drawer somewhere. And they kind of get that grainy feel to them. That's what this does. It gives it that same kind of effect. And you can see how it just kind of makes it a little bit darker too. So yeah, and you can smudge up on his shirt if you want as well and add a little bit of something something in there. But that's all there is to it. And you can see the difference when I turn it, how the crayon dulls down that photo. Okay, so we've done enough with that. I do have another photo prepared, and I will keep a look to see how far along we're getting with all of this before I judge whether or not I'm going to do that photo with you. Okay, so let's put our card together, and then we will decorate all three of them. Now, as you can see, I've used the circles here, and I've folded them in half, and I'm going to use them as tabs for the journals. This one, however, I have a pile of pre-made tabs that I keep handy in a little box on my table. And so I'm taking one of those and I'm going to put it down here in the corner. Okay, I'm putting it on just the same way as I've been putting on the file folder tabs with you all along. I'm going to put a little on one side and I'm going to add it to my little journal card here. And I'm going to put it down here in the bottom. Okay, I'm going to turn it over, make sure it's straight, like so. And that'll be pretty good. And then I'm just going to add, see, I always mess with it. I'm going to add a little glue here to this side. And there we go. We have our little tab on. And now sometimes I put my tab on first. Sometimes I put my tab on last. It depends upon the construction of the piece that we're working on. Because if I feel that I want the tab to lay over, like if I'm putting a really big piece of ephemera down, sometimes I'll just lay the tab on it to kind of break it up. Other times I will put the tab on first and then put the ephemera on top of it. And that's what I'm doing in this case. Now you can see that I've already added a little tiny piece of ephemera up here. That's kind of my spacing guide as to where I want to add my flowers. Because although I have made a bit of a cluster, I haven't put my flowers on yet, and we're going to be doing that after I add this part. Now you can see it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little pieces of ephemera, and I've pretty much mapped out where they're going to go onto my card. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're just going to glue these down. Okay, and like I said, this is a much easier way for me to add the ephemera to my pieces, especially when it's something that we're doing as a group, because I tend to be a little bit fussy and I can never make up my mind where I want to put things. And so having the cluster pre-made and just having to put it down, I think will make you guys feel a little bit better in the long run, that you don't have to sit here and have me decide, oh, does it go here? Does it go there? So now I have this big flower picked out, and like I said, I'm using that little piece of red ephemera kind of as my gauge, because I wanted to decide how I want to put my flowers. So I was thinking I might put them like that, okay, and we'll bring them down just a little bit. And then we're going to add our photo to it afterwards, after I've added all of the ephemera, okay? So yeah, I hope you've been enjoying this series. I got a lot of views on part 1, and I'm hoping parts 2 and 3 will get the same amount of views, because it's just, I enjoy doing this. And so I hope that that emanates to you, that I'm having fun, and that it kind of makes it fun for you, my friends, as well. All right, so there we go. We have our basic journal card put together. And now we can decide where we want to put this pretty little lady. Now, do we want to put her here, or do we want to move her over a little bit to the side, like so? And I think I'm going to keep her right there on that side, but I'm just going to move her a little bit closer to this label here. Although, I think I kind of like her. See, this is why I make my clusters. I think I kind of like her there. Right there under all of the flowers, that's where she's going, gang. And again, because I'm not sure that I don't want to add another piece of ephemera maybe underneath her photo, because I may want to stick something in here. I'm only going to put glue in the center of her photo, and I'm going to bring her down, and I'm going to make sure she's straight, and I'm going to lay her down right about there. Now, because this is kind of blank, like I said, I might want to tuck something in after the fact, okay? And then we have our little boy, and we're going to add him over here to this piece, like so. I've already decided where I want to put him, okay? I'm going to put him right there, because when I was putting this together, I didn't realize the number 11's upside down, so I'm using him to cover up the boo-boo. So yeah, we'll just tuck him in right over here like that, okay, like so. And again, because, you know, I may want to add something, I may say, wow, this would have looked really cute on there, and I want to tuck it in. I'm just going to tuck him in like so, with only glue in the center, and I'm covering up my boo-boo, and I'm going to slide him down just a little bit, because I kind of like him round about there, so I can keep that pattern going. And there we have him, okay? These, in essence, once I had inked them and did my clusters, they took maybe, I don't know, 20 minutes a piece, so you could really fly through these. There's no way, shape, or form that anything has to be. It's yours. You can do it however you want, and I think I kind of like them there. So now we have, oh, you know what I wanted to do? These two don't really need it too much. This still has some kind of white on here. Let me just grab, and maybe I'll ink up the edges. I didn't do too much of the, what do you call it? The vintage photo coloring on here, because their faces take up most of the photo. So I'm just going to ink the edges of this just a little bit, take away some of that white edge. Okay, and I'm using my archival ink in potting soil, just to give that a little bit more of a vintage feel. Let me just get that out of the way, and then we'll just add them on, and they will be done. And then I'm going to show you a little something else I did. I can put them, I think I'm going to kind of put them right there, sort of in the center of that card. And I want to make sure they're straight. Yep, they're pretty good. Okay, and so there we have our 3 little journaling cards for our journals, and I will tuck them in after everything has dried. I don't want to do that yet, but I will show that to you. And then what I've done here for the couples journal, as I explained, these hearts are by a kit by Tracy Fox Creative, and so I will link them in the description box below as soon as I find them. I'm recording one video right after I recorded the other one because I have time. My daughter has gone to visit her boyfriend, and my husband has had to go back out to work, so it's just me and the fluffy boys, and so it's a little bit quiet, so I figured I would stick in another video today. So I have this heart and I have this couple. Now you'll notice that they are not very reflective, and that's because I have already colored them in using my distress crayons. And again, it's a great way, first of all, just to add that little extra color, and second, to take down the shininess. Okay, so I thought that it would be really cute if I just put them on, centered on the little heart here, as part of the couples journal. And then when I decide what I want to do on the page, I can add what I want on the page, or add them to the page alone, because sometimes I feel like the paper dolls are enough on a page, and that goes for the photos as well. So sometimes I'll just add them and not worry about adding anything else. And so I kind of want to get them centered here and make sure that this heart is straight on there. And you can see the little point sticking out on the bottom. That's what I'm using as judgment as to whether or not they're straight. And so yeah, it's kind of hard to stand them up and see if they're even because they're standing in different positions. But there's another piece of ephemera prepared for the couples journal. And I do have this young man and this young lady that I want to put on this heart as well. But I was thinking of maybe coloring them up a little using the Distress Crayon again. Excuse me. And so I'll just show you quickly that you can just add the color to the dolls. And I'm just going to use my vintage photo because this picture is basically brown anyway. So I would just go in and do varying degrees of the color on them. You know, a little bit here and a little bit there. Maybe make it a little bit darker on her jacket and not quite as dark on her skirt. And I can even take the bit that's still on my finger and maybe rub it on his pants. So I could do a light application of the vintage photo on his pants as well, and a darker color on her jacket, or I could even use my scorched timber. But again, you can see the difference in how it dulls down the shine on these. So yeah, okay. So that's about it for today. I will get back to you, I guess, with doing some more decorating in the journal that we've done. But I kind of want to get my stuff together and decide what I'm going to put where. At least we know we have one piece of ephemera. And we have, let's see, where are they? One journal card prepared. So yeah, it was a quick video today. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you got something out of it that'll help you in your journey of making a fabulous 5-tab file folder journal like we did together the other day. Okay, guys, have a great rest of your day. I will see you soon. I'm sending you lots of love, big hugs, and asking you please to remember to like, subscribe, and comment. And that goes for everybody on YouTube. It really helps our channels. If you haven't gone over and checked out my 1,500 subscriber giveaway, go on over and do that. I will be doing the drawing on Monday, the 23rd of June. And so we will have a winner then. Okay. See you soon. Thank you. Love, hugs, like, subscribe, comment. Take care for now. Bye-bye.